Hockey happens, and it won't be just like bag skates and how far back Oliver Ekman-Larsson is. It'll be actual games with some semblance of NHL players on the ice starting tomorrow. Leafs and Habs kick it all off. So here to help us break through all of the nonsense that's fluttering about is Justin Bourne, who is the co-host of Hockey Central on Sportsnet 590 The Fan in Toronto and writer of words on Sportsnet.ca. Thanks for joining us, Justin. How are you, man?
No problem. That's my official title, word writer at Sportsnet.
Writer of words at Sportsnet? Awesome. So when you look at the landscape as the season starts here, what jumps out at you the most? Is it Eichel? Is it the RFAs? What are you kind of drilling down on as we wade kind of into the shallow end of the NHL season?
I think I'm just so excited about it being an actual hockey season that's 82 games long with fans in the building that I'm a little focused on, the odd player who may or may not be getting vaccinated, with arena capacities, with, all of these things that we just haven't had that feel, I feel like we could get to normal if everyone falls in line. And so keeping close tabs on all that stuff, here in Toronto, keeping an eye on the 78 forwards they have in training camp and trying to make sense of that. And then, the remaining 4 RFAs still hanging out there. Those are big stories.
Okay, so here's the thing, and this is just pulling back the curtain. I told my team, listen, there's less than 1% of the league that's not vaccinated. Why are they getting so much oxygen? And right. I have no problem having the conversation. Is there a reason why it intrigues you to have that vaccination conversation? Because for me, it's don't give it oxygen. It's the overwhelming majority of North Americans are in favor of vaccination, and yet here we are all the time having conversations about those who aren't vaccinated. Stop giving it oxygen. But if you think it's a story, I'm willing to listen why.
Yeah, what's interesting is I feel like there's few things that we can openly make someone not the bad guy, but there is a pretty clear social cause right now. As a society, we're trying to do a thing. And so I think it's almost like the internet pile-on machine. It's really easy to pile on people who aren't taking part, which they should be. I've been very clear in my stance on that, but I think it's part of it's we're all in agreement here. We can pile on this. This is good. It's I don't know what it is exactly that makes people drawn towards that pile on, but it is a very real thing, and so it's a very real story, and it's in my timeline too. But I like your point of just saying maybe just let those people disappear and the rest of us go on with the hockey season. Yeah,
let's just take care of our business. If we've entered into this social contract and we've done it of our own free will, and you don't want to be a part of this, then hey, if you want to give up your $400,000 because you don't want to cross the Canadian border, go ahead. That's kind of where I'm at on all this.
And it's the healthier viewpoint, right? If all of us could just let everyone we disagreed with just go be what we think is wrong somewhere else, it'd be a lot easier. But a lot of us need to stress about what everyone else is doing, watching each other's bobbers out here, Tim. So we all wish for your serenity.
No, but it does affect us, so I understand why people are upset, because if we got to higher levels, maybe you could get your freedoms back, but I'm not walking that road because it'll get tired very quickly. All right, so let's move on to, speaking of tired very quickly, Jack Eichel, the dumpster fire that is the Buffalo Sabres. I guess Kypreos says that, Nick Kypreos tweeted earlier today that Jack Eichel would accept a trade. I think we kind of sort of knew that was the case, but where does that put this? Because, man, this feels like a really bad situation.
Well, I think what happened was the Buffalo Sabres thought they could trade a healthy Jack Eichel who is not healthy. And so they went to everyone and said, would you like Jack Eichel? And they all said, sure. And we want a discount because he's not healthy. And Buffalo was like, what? There's this weird thing where they're pretending he doesn't need very serious surgery. And, in that Kypreos tweet, I think he mentioned that some teams are trying to build a clause in where you say, yes, we'll make you this trade, but if you can't play this many games or if his performance is this after we get him, it's going to be conditional changes to the trade. Obviously, Buffalo doesn't want to do that. And it's just a shame that we're here in the first place. You let the guy get the surgery he wants and trade him as a healthy player. Everyone could have been happy. It's too late for that now. No one's happy. The Sabres are really trying to dig in on this. And honestly, it's just one of many places where they're not going to come out looking good.
No, they're not going to come out looking good. Neither team nor player is served by any of this. Like, that's the part of the, like, I know there are people on the Sabres side of things, but Eichel's to blame here too. He's going to end up missing, like, I mean, how can you not try to rectify this as best as you can on both sides, because you're both going to be hurt by it? And here we are, we're both are going to be hurt by this. Like, Eichel will still get paid, but he's probably not going to the Olympics if he wanted to go there. Right. And he's
right. I just don't. But Tim, like, what's he supposed to do? Like, he doesn't want his neck done that way, you know? Like,
I know, but can you not, like, somehow, like, call in the NHL, get an arbitrator? Like, that's what I think the answer is going to be, is that the NHL will have to step in and an independent arbitrator will deal on some, or will have to make a decision on this, because having this standoff helps nobody.
No, and you're right. And, you know, I saw some people commenting on the language in the CBA that creates this, where the team kind of has the final say. And I believe the intention for most of it was, like, on an ankle sprain or a torn MCL or something, like, varying opinions on what to do with your spine. You know, we might want to defer to the person whose spine it is in that case. So, I don't know what sort of third party you have to get involved to make that happen, but I don't see any scenario here where Eichel doesn't get his spine done the way he wants it. Because if I need to drive that word home. Spine. Yeah. I think he's got a lot of say in what they do with that.
And you know what? Like, as you were saying, I'm like, yeah, it's probably a fair point. I think the spine is probably where you draw the line. All right. Who's your guess on the dude that wins the lottery to play beside Marner and Matthews?
Yeah, you know what happens in situations like this is the team puts who they want to win the lottery there, and during the course of a season, nothing goes perfectly, and eventually it doesn't work out, and someone else gets a chance. And so they're going to start with Nick Ritchie, right? They're like, oh, he's big, he'll be kind of like Hyman, he'll be at the net, and then things are going to go south for him at some point. It's probably a guy who's internal, like Alex Kerfoot, who had a wonderful playoff run and really, to me, looked like he was ready to take a step in the league. It could be a guy like Ilya Mikheyev, who made noise about getting traded if he doesn't get an opportunity. I know they're going to give the opportunity first to Nick Ritchie or Bunting, but, like, it's really hard to stick in a place on a line for the entire season. I can see them starting with those guys and then going, hey, remember when Joe Thornton started the year there? Yeah, that didn't work out all the way through. Someone else will end up there by the time playoffs come.
Let me throw a caveat into this before I start down the road. I understand that training camp is tough for all those covering it. It can be monotonous. You have to look and find stories that are there. The Josh Hosang saying all the right things in Toronto, is that something that could actually happen? Or is that one of those things where we're peeling back the layers of the onion and go, hey, Josh Hosang, very talented team, could this work? And it's really nothing there.
Yeah, first off, standing O to Josh Hosang, it's exactly what you're supposed to do in this situation. It didn't work out somewhere else. You come here, you say, all the right things. I'll sharpen skates. What do you want me to do? And the team, you're immediately in everyone's good graces, so very smart. The team likes his talent level, and I think there's a real opportunity for him to probably start in the American League and put up some numbers. And if there's an injury or opportunity, he's kind of one of the first guys to be there. I don't see any way camp breaks and they're like, all right, Hosang's in our top 6 and off we go, or even on the team. It doesn't make sense in my head. And I think other teams had the opportunity to have Hosang in previous years through waivers and didn't want him. So I think he can get through waivers. So, yeah, Hosang could be a thing. I don't think he's a guy who starts with the team, but again, he's starting on the right foot, saying the right things, so credit where credit's due. He
came in the studio and he did the exact same thing, and I thought, well, this kid, like, if someone gives him a shot, and he just, every time there seems to be an opportunity, there's just something that stands in the way. All right, how much trouble is our friend Brian Burke and the Pens in with Malkin and Crosby?
Big trouble. Let's be real. That's significant for this team. That's obvious, but the Pittsburgh Penguins are a good team in a division where I think every team could make the playoffs this year. Like, there's just no easy nights in that division. And, the type of thing that usually puts you over the top is when you have elite guys like Malkin, even when the team's not perfect, he gets one or two random ones, makes a play, and you get a win or two you don't deserve. They're not going to get those free wins without Malkin. They're going to be mired in the muck, right in the midst of that Metro division. So they are a team who I think is scrapping for a wild card spot more than potentially one of the teams who could have home ice just based on the start with Malkin.
Mr. Bourne, it feels like hockey season all over again. Not only is there a game tomorrow, but I'm talking to Justin Bourne. Thank you, sir. It feels like home.
Anytime, buddy. Thanks for having me.